I love the training stuff in the book.
They really want to see if, okay, maybe he's a smart guy, or maybe he's, he's got some of the characteristics that we require, but can he think on his feet? If we put him out there and we throw curveballs at him, can he catch them? And that's really what that's all about. It's to take you out on the streets and give you a series of assignments without telling you really what the ultimate aim or goal of them is, just to give you a very sort of task-oriented thing to carry out, and seeing how you deal with it. Can you walk up to a complete stranger and start a conversation with them on the street and hold them on the street for 3 minutes? Can you get the third name, not the first name, the third name on a hotel register when hotel clerks are very wary of giving out any of their guest information? Can you ride in a taxi and get all the details of the taxi driver, including his home address, while you're riding around in a taxi with him? Can you put something in a simple telephone, a public telephone in a hotel lobby, a crowded hotel lobby, without anyone noticing what you're doing? And all these kinds of little stressful tasks that are designed to how you would attack a problem on your own, how you would think it through, and how you would deal with it, at the same time giving you as little time as possible to prepare, and adding some stress to the whole equation by people trying to disrupt or interrupt what you're doing, even though you don't know that that's staged, but it is happening to you. So,
at one point, you're still in the training, and suddenly these narcs show up, narcotics officers.
Actually, when I look back, it was a pretty traumatic experience even today when I consider it. Yeah, I was out doing these assignments during my training program, and during one of them, I was down in the old port of Jaffa, and a fellow was trying to sell me drugs, and I refused, of course, and he was really badgering me quite a bit, and I managed to extricate myself from the situation. And later that night in my hotel, I was staying in a hotel, I had a knock on the door, and it was two narcotics detectives who wanted to speak to me because they were sure I was involved in drug smuggling. I was a foreigner, ostensibly a foreigner, and I'd been meeting with this fellow. I'd been seen meeting with this fellow, so to speak. And so they took me, and they decided to charge me. So I went through the whole booking process, and it was all formal. I was fingerprinted and photographed, and taken down to a cell, a holding cell, and that was very unpleasant because the cell had, no, aside from a dangling light bulb and pretty much a hole in the floor as a toilet. That was in a very thick steel door with a little hole through it so someone could look at me. I really thought I'd landed in a very deep and dark place. And then, of course, the next morning I was taken up for there's no other word for a very strict interrogation, which ran for 2 days straight. And the disconcerting thing is I went up to the interview room, and on the table was all my film had been developed, and all my pictures were spread out on the table. My suitcase had been opened. Every possession I'd owned was spread out and taken apart and spread. And of course, for people that are spies, this is really scary stuff. And yeah, subjected to a very harsh interrogation over 2 days straight.
You could have just said, "Hey, I'm a Mossad agent on a training exercise. You guys have picked up the wrong guy," but you didn't do that.
No, and that's the whole point of what happened.
Because it was fake.
The whole thing was staged from beginning to end, and I didn't even know. And in fact, my instructor was in the next room watching the whole process over a 2-day period on a remote camera with a psychologist who was also accompanied the whole process, for obvious reasons. But yeah, the whole thing was to make me break.
It's really kind of a shoestring budget. People are, there aren't enough agents, there aren't enough resources. You can't, Jack Bauer can reposition a satellite like that. It's like,
yeah, and you're so right. There's so much misinformation and disinformation out there about what real spies do, and this sort of real world scenarios where we never have enough manpower. I mean, you see in the book, there's a number of times where I'm poached to help somebody else out because I have an operational background, and they just don't have anyone to do it because there's just so much going on. It's a small, task-oriented, very focused organization. It can't really worry about a whole lot of things that are going on outside of the Middle East because it just doesn't have the manpower or resources, much like some of the other services like the CIA do, for instance. And yeah, but there have been depictions that I've enjoyed, I very much enjoyed The Bourne Identity and The Bourne Supremacy, the two films. I thought there were elements in that were I was very impressed when I saw it. His sense of isolation, the fact that he really was so disconnected from his headquarters and had to act through an intermediary. I did like The Spy Game with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. I thought that was a really well done film, which captured a lot of the headquarters kind of mentality and how the guys in the field are always, don't understand what people are thinking back in headquarters, and how they're also left in many ways to the wolves, and just some of the tradecraft and training and things were really, I thought, really good depictions. But yeah, the Bond series I just can't watch. I love Austin Powers and yeah, Goldmember, and I thought, those are great. They're hilarious. I mean, a parody on what you do is the best, really, in many ways, the best medicine for taking yourself too seriously.
The book is The Volunteer, A Canadian's Secret Life in the Mossad. I'm speaking with the author, Michael Ross, and The Volunteer, published by McClelland and Stewart.